if you're going to post an article on the internet, at the very least, this should be like the most basic of standards for anyone who's going to talk about politics or complex issues or really anything, is read the article before you post the headline. Sneako. Are you guys familiar with Sneako? Are you guys at all familiar with this guy? For those of you who don't know, Sneako is a streamer on Rumble. He used to be banned. I don't know if he was ever on Twitch, but I presume if he's banned off YouTube, he's probably to some extent banned on here as well. So I got to be careful showing him on screen. So I talking, but Sneako made a tweet recently that I'll just read to you verbatim. The next step of the woke agenda is adding
Burns is a
pedophile,
morally corrupt
to LGBT, adding pedophilia, the LGBT. Then he puts a little rainbow flag emoji. Project, thank you so much for the tier 1. I appreciate it. This really rubbed me the wrong way. This rubbed me the wrong way for a lot of reasons. So if you look at the article he posted, it's titled, "Pedophilia is a mental health issue. It's not treated as one," with the byline, "This is a topic that scientists in the field of mental health are not just uninterested in, actively repugnant." And so what he is saying with this article headline, he posts none of the article, is that, wow, this shows the normalization of pedophilia. This shows the woke agenda, the woke elite, I guess Sneako would call the Matrix, as, you know, Andrew Tate and others have called it, is planning to add pedophilia, being attracted to children, as part of the LGBT banner, part of the LGBT movement, and, you know, kind of, you know, wolf in sheep's clothing kind of stuff. They're coming after the kids. Is the basic retelling of this article headline, because they're saying, you know, the woke agenda is using this article to promote LGBTQ plus people, bringing in pedophiles into the movement. That's what it seems to be throwing at you with this article headline. Now, I first want to say that I've read the article. I saw this and I thought, you know, it doesn't look like it talks about LGBT people in this article whatsoever. It doesn't have it in the title, doesn't have it in the byline. So let me go read the article. And let me tell you, this article was long. Look at this. It's a long article. That's a lot of words. And look, hey, not a lot of pictures. And so I don't blame Sneako for not reading this. I assume with it not having many pictures, it would have been extremely difficult for him. That's probably the issue he ran into. But this article has nothing at any point to do with LGBTQ plus people in any way. Nothing whatsoever. Doesn't mention LGBTQ plus people, doesn't mention gays, doesn't mention anything. Transgender people, doesn't mention the movement, doesn't mention pedophilia being listed as another letter in the LGBT rainbow, being integrated into queer activism. Doesn't talk about that at all. It actually has literally nothing whatsoever to do with queer people. What the article does have to do with, which again, Sneako didn't read, because I assume if he read it, maybe he would have, you know, taken something from it and not posted that it had to do with LGBT, part of some greater plan. What the article actually had to do with is how do we as a society treat the mental health issue, whether he wants to call it that or not, it's just true, the mental health issue of people finding themselves attracted to children. Now, I don't think this should be a shocker to anyone at home, but if you wake up tomorrow and you feel attracted to children, that's going to be a massive shock to you, isn't it? Massive shock, horrific shock. You're going to feel disgusted at yourself. You're not going to know what to do. Where do you go? Do you go to a doctor? Do you know how to, how do you bring this up with your doctor? How's your doctor going to view you? Will your doctor report you to somebody? What's the process? Do you have any idea? I know I sure don't. I've never had to think about this because I don't have those types of thoughts, as I assume the vast majority of the people watching now don't, if not all of you. So this article tries to tackle that issue of how do we make it so these people who feel these feelings, these disgusting feelings, how do we make it so they can get treatment so they don't go out and hurt kids? It covers issues like mental health care, therapy, stuff like that. Like groups that you can join to talk to other people about these feelings and thoughts in order to get a hold of them so you never ever act upon them. And it even talks about the option of chemical castration. And what was really cool about this article is it kind of destigmatizes chemical castration specifically. Because when you hear the words chemical castration, you probably think of like, I don't know, somebody taking acid and like pouring it on your cock or something, or I think that's the image that people get in their mind. And you want to know what? That's the image I got in my mind. When I think chemical castration, I assumed like you were basically putting someone to sleep and like burning their penis off or something, like with chemicals, or like, but that's not at all what it is. What this article tackles is that chemical castration is actually something where you go on to basically a chemical cocktail that is injected into you, taken to you in some way, and it basically crashes your sex drive and makes it so you don't have any sexual desire. So if you have these desires from children, you can go out and voluntarily choose to get this treatment, to get this medicine, so you don't have sexual feelings, period. Obviously, for the average person, not having sexual feelings, period, it probably feels like a living hell. It would for me, but for these people, considering the type of sexual feelings they're having, that's probably a huge relief. Giving up those feelings, having those feelings, is probably not at all comparable to the liberation they feel, a lot of them at least, from not having the burden of having those attractions anymore. Because they don't want to act on them, they don't want to think about them, they're disgusted by them. When they get those thoughts in their mind, they want to go take cold showers. The people who are good that we're talking about here, we're talking about people who have these feelings, want to get treatment, and want to stop themselves from ever doing something like that. This is a conversation that psychologists and doctors need to have, because as much as we have a disgust response at the idea of anyone even having these thoughts in their mind, that disgust response doesn't remove those thoughts from those. If somebody ever harms a child in any way acts upon those thoughts, they should go to the prison. Hell, they should be buried under the prison. Okay? You're not going to find anybody out there who's more anti-molesting children than me, considering my history. Don't need to get too into it, but for the long-time viewer of the channels will know. But whether we like it or not, there are people in this world who have those feelings. And we need to figure out how we give these people treatment so they don't go out and do this. Because evidently, just basically saying, if you are a pedophile, we're going to throw you in prison, or we're going to completely isolate you and throw you from society. Not if you molest children, but just like period. If you have these thoughts at all, that you're an outcast. And it's not like it's for bad reason. It's for good reason. We want to protect our children. But the downside of not offering, say, medical treatment and building avenues for people to go out and get help is that what these people are going to do is they're going to not tell anyone. They're not going to get medical help because of the isolation they feel and possible backlash and lack of options they think they have. And then possibly years down the line, once they've been whittled down, they might go and act on something horrific, and then it ends up hurting a child. And the number one priority of anyone dealing with the issue of pedophilia is, how do we protect children? That should be the main thing we concentrate on. Not, how do we perfectly fillet everybody who has these feelings and feed our want to get these guys and just strangle them by the neck or anything like that. The main goal when talking about this issue should be dealing with these people before they even do anything. Preventative care. We need to take preventative action to stop children from being molested. We should not be getting there and saying, oh, child's been molested, let's intervene now. We should be intervening then, of course, but before that's even happened, we should be putting a million roadblocks, a million barriers between somebody doing that to a child and, just putting up a million barriers between them and them doing that to a child, whether it be mental health care resources, whether it be chemical castration, whether it be counseling groups, whether it be any of these options. they should be available. Because if these options are available, the odds those people are going to go out and actually act upon those thoughts are going to be impacted. They're going to go down. A lot of people will take the option if given, and you know, they have an option to go and do this, will choose chemical castration. And this article tries to destigmatize that option. Like, yeah, if you feel these feelings, go out and get chemical castration. Majority of people who go on these types of medication end up staying on them because they work. And so this whole article tries a very great effort, by the way. It's a fantastic article. I recommend you guys go read it on your own. I cannot encapsulate all the stuff they talk about in this article. But what this article tries to do is tackle an extremely difficult, complex, impersonal, and sensitive issue in a very responsible way. In a very responsible way. And to have Sneako just take this and twist it around and somehow make it about the queers when it has nothing to do with gay people or trans people, any of this whatsoever, after having not read the article, because if he did, he wouldn't have tweeted this, honestly, makes me think like Sneako's a knuckle dragger. I don't know much about Sneako. I don't interact with him much. I know he's banned. I know he's like done content with like Kanye and or something. Not a content with Kanye, but I know he's been around those circles and he's like done a bunch of content with a bunch of people. I don't know all the specifics. What I do know is right here he's being incredibly dishonest and trying to tie pedophilia to gays for with absolutely no string. He's just trying to put these two things in the same room. Child molester, homosexual. He's just trying to put these general, vague feelings in the same room with literally no thread connecting them outside of an article that does not talk about gay people whatsoever. And not only is this disrespectful to queer people, right? But it's also disrespectful to the person who worked on this article. The person who worked on this article obviously took a long time to work on it. Compiled sources, interviewed people, talked to psychiatrists, talked to doctors, talked to all types of people, and had to wade through what is, for me at least, a very difficult topic to even really talk about because it's gross. It's a gross topic. Nobody likes to really think about this topic, right? This is why, like earlier in the stream, they say, do you guys want to start with the pedophilia story, or do you guys want to start with the story around this Battle of Soldar? Everybody said Soldar in my chat. Everybody said it site chat. Everybody said it on Twitch chat because nobody likes to talk about it because it's icky. It's gross. Gross. Definitely when we talk about how it's talked about online, which is even more gross. Because the internet kind of almost like it grabs attention. I don't want to get too into it, but they use it to like grab attention and drag you in. Like you look at this disgusting like dragging you in for viewership, and it's really icky how they talk about it on the internet. So trying to wade into what is an extremely heated topic, very personal topic, and a topic that's just gross. This person, you know, I think deserves a lot of praise, honestly. Definitely after having done some journalism myself, I know how difficult it is to actually put together a piece of this size and not just a 6 to 7 to 8 paragraph opinion piece, which a lot of reporters or quote unquote reporters do. Hell, I prefer to do that a lot more than I prefer doing all this work. And so not only did Sneako disrespect queer people by trying to tie them to pedophiles for really no reason, not only did he not tackle this issue, which is extremely complex and necessary to tackle if we want to realistically lower the rates of childs being molested, which is my main goal. I don't know what Sneako's main goal here is. That's my main goal. I'm going to assume if I was to ask him, he would say that was his main goal as well. But it's also disrespectful to the person who worked on this article, who know how many countless hours going through all of this. And so I guess I just want to end on this. Treatment for these types of issues, for the horrific thoughts that pop into the heads of these, whether you like them or not, or they're disgusting to you and you think they're the scum of the earth for having these thoughts, should not matter if the goal here is to lower the rate of children being molested. and preventative care like chemical castration, which the article talks about, 100% will lower those rates because you're giving people other options. You're giving options on how to continue living their life while not having to constantly battle that horrific demon every day. That's the first thing. Sneako doesn't know how to have this conversation, I guess. Sneako doesn't know how to weigh that topic responsibly. That's the first thing. The second thing is don't try to pointlessly tie. Well, I can say it's pointless, but it isn't pointless. There's a reason why he tied these two. What that reason is, you would have to ask him, not me. I can make assumptions, but good faith Andy. Tying pedophilia to queer people has a very, very dark history. This led to a lot of gay people being killed, a lot of gay people being hurt, and a lot of propaganda built against them. There was police ads in the 1960s, like, beware the homosexual. That basically implied that homosexuality and pedophilia were the same thing. What Sneako's doing here isn't new. He's not like he's like, oh, I'm the brave truth teller. I'm the guy coming out and spitting all the facts. Not only is this not the truth, I mean, it's not even close to the truth, but he's not even saying anything particularly brave or stunning or like new. He's saying like the same thing that's been basically said by governments and propagandists for like, I don't know, the last like 80, 100 years, who knows how long. Where is that old ad? Where the homosexual? Where is it? Yeah, here it is. Just play a few seconds of it. By the way, look, produced with the cooperation of the Inglewood Police Department and the Inglewood Unified School District, showed the school children, produced by the police department. So let's skip to the point which I think is the point where they get into it right here.
Mind. You see, what Jimmy didn't know was that Ralph was sick. A sickness that was not visible like smallpox, but no less dangerous and contagious, a sickness of the mind. You see, Ralph was a homosexual, a person who demands an intimate relationship with members of their own sex. But by now, Jimmy felt a fondness for Ralph, and they continued to go places together.
And the whole thing just like basically equivocates homosexuality with pedophilia. Also, demands? What does that even mean? Whatever. Anyway, lastly, if you're going to post an article on the internet, at the very least, this should be like the most basic of standards for anyone who's going to talk about politics or complex issues or really anything, is read the article before you post the headline. Just read it. Because if Sneako did, I assume he wouldn't have made this tweet. Or he would have made this tweet about, hey guys, let's talk about chemical castration, or something that's maybe more productive, or something that, you know, is more related to the actual article he tweeted out. What he did here was dishonest, it was misrepresentative, and honestly, just I think came from a lack of effort on Sneako's part. Laziness on Sneako's part. Didn't pull himself up by the bootstraps there, you know? He got lazy, intellectually lazy, and that led to him, I don't know, I guess, connecting pedophiles and the gays, and not wanting to talk about and not talking about the issue that would actually lower rates of child molestation. Instead of fighting the actual issue or talking about the actual issue that will help lower those rates of child molestation, he instead wanted to fight the queer boogeyman that he made up in his head. Anyway, Sneako, if by any chance in the world you actually watch this, I doubt it. I'm just an itty bitty content creator from Maryland. Just read the articles you're gonna post in the future, and if on the off chance you did read this, that also makes this worse, because that means you read it and still misrepresented. I'm going to assume you did it in the most good faith way possible. Say, just read the articles in the future if you're going to post them, and stop trying to tie the gays to pedophilia with no thread or just period. Anyway, that's enough of that. Sneako ain't the sharpest tool in the shed. Nah, that's what I've heard.